Can too much rainwater affect your aquaponics system? Well, let's just jump to the chase. Yes, it can. So there is a colour change between yesterday and today. I'm going to show you how you can work out based on your system if too much water is going to be a problem. Okay, because people often mistake this one, so let's actually understand it so you know what you can do. Sounds good? Right, first off, whenever we add water into our aquaponics system, it's going to start diluting the nutrients, and that's the biggest thing about it. Now, I've just done a whole heap of replumbing on this system, and I'm wanting to show you two things that are really significant to this video. One, I've got a roof. Okay, you should be able to see there's pond line, well, there's shade cloth, green shade cloth, and then I've got that plastic, right, covering the roof. And I have a nice piece of plastic here, which covers my sump, because the sump sort of sticks out a little bit. Why do I have that? Because I live in a subtropical area, and when we get rain, it pours. Now, I seriously mean it pours. So this is me telling you what happened to my system, and then I'm going to show you how I know how much water has affected my system. And this is how it's going to be relevant to you. Because my sump sits out, I keep the plastic down when I know it's going to rain, because too much water in there is going to affect my nutrient load, right? I completely forgot to put it down last night. It was hot, humid, and I didn't want to be outside. Didn't actually realise storm meant it was going to be pouring all night. Lately, we've kind of had some small storms that are lasting 10 seconds and some 10 hours, okay? I kind of wasn't on top of it last night. When I came out this morning, bucket full, but my aquaponic system had at least 300 more litres of water in it. And I know because I know where I've got markers in here. It's actually, my sump is full enough, that's where all my water collates. So the water goes from the fish tank into my mechanical filter, into the grow bed, and into the sump. The sump then pumps water back into the fish tank. That's that larger system. So all the water will collate in the sump. And I have little markers there to tell me where my water level is at there, because we lose water with evaporation, and we lose water when our plants are growing. So sometimes I need to be able to top it up. And by me being able to see those little levels, I can go, right, this is how much water I've lost this week due to evaporation or whatever. And I know where my system was at yesterday, because yesterday I did my water testing, I cleaned my pump, I sort of the day of doing all my maintenance. And when I came out this morning, it's 300 litres higher, and it's actually hit my overflow, and I have an overflow valve that leads out, which means that water has actually been running out of the system while the sump is still full. That's how much water we had. And keeping in mind, that's the only way water can get into my system is by me not having that plastic covering down. Everywhere else completely covered. That is why I have a roof on the aquaponics system, to stop big dumps of water. 300 litres at least is huge. And in other states that I've lived at, in other places, we don't get that much rain at once. And this is where it's important that you understand your climate. What's your climate like? So in this time, this is when we get a lot of heavy rain. I make sure that I've got that covering and that it works really well. I just totally forgot to, put that down. Normally, when it's not in the middle of storms, I will actually tie it up so that we can get the nice fresh air going through, and I don't have to worry about mildew and fungal issues. We all make mistakes. Having a look at my sump, you can see that all the water is coming in from 3 different pipes, and so it's where all the water gathers. And I have the pump that's in this in this pail. The pail keeps all of that. This is extra biological media extra biological media that I have in my sump, and having the pail around my water pump just keeps all of that away, otherwise it can clog up the pump. So we can see, well, I can see that the water level is higher in this case, and this is a different video to the one when it was pouring with rain, because I couldn't get the camera out at that point. Now what I'm wanting to show you is that I've got a pipe on this side right where my finger is, and it takes us out of the IBC sump, and it exits there. That is my overflow section. So if this sump gets lots and lots of water in it, the water is going to start to go out that overflow and out here. And I've got a drain that is just underneath my sump, so that'll collect all of the water.
having an overflow just, you know, it helps in case you're starting to get the flooding. I don't want any of the biological filtration coming out, and I also have a couple of fish in my sump that you can't see because they're hidden. So I don't want any of them floating out on the out of the top of my sump. So having an overflow there, and all that is just a uniseal and a pipe in there that is, you can probably see it a little bit better. You see the uniseal there. So it's just letting the water come out. And it's a nice easy way of making sure that we're not going to have any of the stuff in our sump that we don't want to get out, because often we do have different fish or crayfish or something like that in the sump. In this case, that's what I have there. So having that overflow out means that it's not going to get stuck.
Check out the description to find some more information about aquaponics and how you can move forward and get this happening. So I was talking a minute ago about I did all of my water testing. This is something that I do every single week on every one of my aquaponics and aquariums. And I like to know what the values are, and I write it down and I compare everything. So aside from me actually knowing the value, like as in how many litres have been added to the water, that's obviously, not everyone does that, that's a bit of a me thing. I can also tell by the colour of my nitrate. So what happens is, if you've got a whole lot of water comes in your system from the rain, and some of that water that's already in there gets washed out, might come over the fish tank, which hopefully you've got something in place to stop fish from floating out of the fish tank, but it might leak out of your system in some way. And if you get a big storm like what we've been having, yeah, it's going to definitely hit your system. Some covering is important. But hopefully you've got a bit of an idea as to what your nitrate reading is. But when you have a huge amount of water come through your system, it's going to push out that nitrate. So you're going to lose the nitrate, or another way of saying that is it's going to get diluted. So looking at our master freshwater test kit, you can actually have a bit of an idea and know what your nitrate values are. And if you don't have a cover on it and you get a big storm, you go, I wonder if that affected the aquaponic system. You can compare previous nitrate levels to the new one. So, what did I just do with it? This is the new one that I did this morning. I'll put that down before I drop it. And it is telling me that it is at, I'm going to go with the 40 ppm. So third from the bottom. But when I tested the water yesterday and I recorded it at 80 ppm, so down here. So there is a colour change between yesterday and today. And that is how I've identified that my water's been diluted because of all of that rain. Kind of hard to believe. But we had that much rain, but we've been getting a lot of rain. It's what happens where I live. Knowing your climate means that you can prepare and avoid. So if you live in a place like where I do, where you get big dumps of water, sometimes we get, 50, 60 centimetres in one night. Sometimes there's been some massive storms that have been almost equivalent to having a metre of water dropping onto the roof. That's how intense it gets. In knowing that, and in knowing my climate, I make sure that I've got a roof there. So it's not just the shade cloth, it's also hothouse material on top to stop water from dumping down into the system. I know that about where I live here, whereas in other states, it is nowhere near that bad. So I haven't had to have covers over it. It's important that you know. I keep harping that because knowing your environment is step one when it comes to aquaponics. So in answering to the question, which I did say initially, and I'm going to say again, will rain affect my aquaponic system? It will depend on how much rain. So just a quick shower? Probably not. Pouring all night? Probably will. And how you can identify it, because I'm hoping by now that you are testing your water quality regularly and you have it written down as to what your nitrate levels are, and you should have a bit of an idea as to how much nitrate your plants are actually using. Like me, you can then identify, well, that's what it was. This is what it was yesterday. It was at 80 ppm, and now it's at 40. It affected it. Everything is always going to be relative to your system and your environment. That's why it's really important that you learn how your environment works and how to run your system. Yes, it will impact it if you get a hell of a lot of rain, but that's subjective. What's a hell of a lot of rain? Up here, well, I know I've had more than 300 litres in this aquaponic system, and it's only, I think, a total of about 1,500 litres. So I know that I've lost some of that nitrate, and that happens. And knowing your system is crucial to understanding how it works. And yes, rain will affect and it will dilute the nutrient availability that's within your system. So having a cover, putting it under cover, is one way of resolving that.